Welcome back to the Diesel Tank Podcast. We're your hosts, Kevin and Jacob. We both want to thank you for being here and stopping by. If you like what you see, hit that follow, that subscribe button on whatever platform you follow us on. And let's get this show started. So, Kevin, how was your day today? What'd you do?
Wasn't too bad. Ran what's good? Store route I had to get done today and get unloaded or get to the dump to kick it off at or before 5. Made it by an hour.
If our listeners don't know, what kind of trucking do you do?
So we haul expired food product from Walmart's, Costco's, and a few other chains in, well, I guess really all over the U.S. And that's pretty much what we do. We've got another side to the company, but I don't know anything about what they do.
Right. So pretty much, from what you've told me, they put you on a rental car or a plane, fly you to a city, and you kind of run the trucks in that city for whatever route they need you on.
Yep. They send you your route on your on either on the Samsara app. They usually give us a company phone. I haven't gotten mine yet for some reason or another. But yeah, they'll just send you your route whenever you get to whatever town they send you to, your supervisor sends you to, and then yeah, rent a hotel room, get it for. We just swapped over how we're going to be doing our time out and time home. We're going to be doing 2 weeks out, 2 weeks home.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Are you gonna like that switch, or?
It'll be a whole lot better than 3 weeks out and only getting a week home.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I've kind of had an interesting, because I've been off work for the past week. I got home day before Thanksgiving, and I've been home ever since. And we had some issues with the truck. We had a DEF coolant line that was leaking. And so I bought them ahead of time. Had my dad pick them up from the dealership, and we decided to try to tackle that the last couple days. And you want to talk about a dang chore?
Oh, I believe it.
It wasn't too bad because there's on my truck there's a big gap between the transmission and everything else, so it wasn't terrible. Getting the line out was a pain in the butt because just the way it's a plastic kind of rubberish line, and it's kind of bent formed and stuff, so it was kind of a bear to get out. But the hardest part of the whole thing, we got it out, put the new one in. The hardest part was undoing them damn clamps that they use to hold the line in place so it doesn't rub on anything. They were nothing but a pain in the butt to get off and then get back on. That was the longest part, was getting those clamps off and getting them back on, because you can't, like, the hole in the floor is probably like an 18-inch by 8-inch, or probably 12-inch hole in the floor pan over the transmission. So we would pull that up, but you just can't get your hands in there. You can get like one arm and half an arm, and you're all bent up and you're laying on the floor and there's seats in the way. And we pulled the side skirt off, but you really can't get to much there because the air tanks are in the way, so it was a chore to get those off. And then, so my wife, bless her heart, she decided she wanted to help, which I'm grateful for. And she's able to get up underneath places where I can't, and chunky guys don't fit underneath the cab very easily, or underneath the truck very easily. So
I've had my fair share of trying to get between the cab and the frame and try to get stuff unhooked, and I'm like, I'm too big for this.
Yeah, well, so she decided she wanted to get on the little roller thing that I had to, you lay on, you roll around. I don't know what the hell they call it, little dolly things
creeper
that they use in shops. Yeah, there you go. And she was rolling around underneath the truck after we got done, finally get the thing back on. And she's like, we fired it up because we want to check for leaks. Next thing I know, she's underneath the back of the truck, rolling around on this damn creeper. Why? I don't know, because it's my wife. She was just having a ball. Yeah, she's just having a ball. Well, come to find out, the airbags on this truck ain't been replaced since 2019 when it was built, right? So she's back there and she hears an air leak and she's like, "These airbags are leaking." I said, "No, they're not." I said, "They're just filling up with air. They got that blow off valve at the top or
Hmm.
whatever." Oh no, they were both dry rotted out.
Yeah, I remember you when you called me yesterday. We were talking about that.
hmm So I went to Freightliner
Hmm.
for OEM replacement bags at Freightliner, $250 a piece.
Yep.
So I went to Truck Pro.
Hmm.
Truck Pro had oh, oh god, they make tires.
Uh,
Um
Firestone.
Firestone airbags for 135 or something like that, $150 a piece.
Hmm.
It's like 317 for two of them, which was better than paying $550 for two of them.
Yep.
My dumbass. Okay, so this is the this is where it all comes into where yesterday turned into a shit show. So my dumbass didn't know on the top of the if nobody knows or if you do know if you've ever had to replace an airbag or whatever, I guess the new style that they have the where the hoses hook into my airbags, it was a small little tiny hole in the top of the airbag.
Hmm.
Well, the replacement airbags have a about an inch tall um threaded um thing on top of it, but it's a big hole. It's like the size of a dang marble,
Yep.
right? I had never replaced airbags on a truck before. New owner operator never had to replace airbags on a truck before. I didn't realize they were threaded on the inside and the outside.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So we were looking at it. I didn't even click in our head to realize that it was. You know what I mean? We just didn't think of it.
Yeah.
And so we I ended up taking those airbags back, trying to find one that had the little tiny hole in the top of it.
Hmm.
And they didn't have one at Truck Pro, so I went back to Freightliner.
Hmm.
I figured if anybody should have it, hell, worst, what the hell, whatever. I'll spend the $500 and get OEM shot. So I talked to a different guy, parts guy, than I did the time before,
Yep.
and he's like, "Well, do you want OEM or do you want an aftermarket airbag?" I said, "Well, the guy that I talked to earlier told me they didn't. You guys didn't have any aftermarket that would fit it." He kind of gave me that look, like, "Yeah, sometimes they're idiots that work here,"
Yeah.
type look. You know what I mean? Like kind of like that look, like, "Yeah, we've got them.
Yeah.
We've got 'em."
We've got them.
And and then he brought him out, and I said, "Okay, let me ask you." I said, "See how this has got the smaller inlet on it and stuff like that?" He's like, "Well, here, let me show you." And he was real cool about it. He wasn't trying to be condescending or anything like that. He went and got a fitting. He's like, "See, it's threaded on the inside and the outside, so you just thread yours on the inside, and you're good to go." I'm like, "Well, shit. I wish I would have known that. When I had the other airbags at the house already." So ended up, but he was able to get us airbags for $60 a piece.
Oh shit. That's a
So
that's a
I paid 100. I ended up paying $150 for two airbags.
hmm
And my thought was, even if these airbags only last a year, for $60,
yeah.
I will. But anyway, so we got it back. The best part of my truck is because, people don't know, I drive an expedited truck. It's a 40-foot box truck with a 96-inch sleeper. Um, Pretty comfortable truck. Kevin's seen the inside of it. It's pretty comfy. But anyways, it has landing gear behind the drives, so that way when forklifts go on and off, they won't blow out my airbags. Dude, I'll tell you what, that was the easiest part about changing airbags, because the airbags we had, that they're taller because they're not deflated or anything like that.
Yeah.
The springs aren't compressed. We just cranked that dolly wheel down. It raised the back end of the truck up. We slide the airbags into place and just lowered it back down slowly, and then lined them up, and it dropped it right back into place, dude. It was quick. I think it took us 10 minutes to get them out and maybe 20 minutes to get them back in.
Yeah.
And most of that time was cranking them up and reattaching the lines, you
What
know.
the way I usually do it, I'll take the leveling valve off, the rod off of it, and
Mhm.
cap off or deflate the airbags, cap off the line going to the airbag that I'm changing, or well,
Mhm.
fold it over and crimp it with a pair of vice grips, and then raise the leveling valve back up, overinflate the bags to lift it up high enough to get
Right.
the old one out, new one in, drops your suspension back down, reconnect the line, good to go.
See, my back set of they didn't have leveling valves run to them.
Hmm.
All it is it has a valve that's about this tall. It's got a line coming in, a line going over to the other bag, and then it's got like a little bleed off valve on top. I see them on trucks before. It's not like there's
Yeah.
something fancy, but my back set of drives don't have, or my drives don't have a leveling valve actually hooked to the airbags. It's got a leveling valve on it because I seen when I filled it up, it re-leveled it.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering if it levels it from that, I'm wondering if it does the leveling from my lift axle because that's got a lift axle on it. So I'm wondering if the leveling valve. I didn't get under there and look because I got bad knees
Hmm.
at 40 years old and I can't crawl on my hands and knees. But I'm wondering if the leveling valve is either A on the lift axle side of it or if they just do it from that valve to where it just I don't know. I seen it leveling itself,
Yeah.
but there was no leveling valve on the back axle.
Hmm. Well, usually,
So there's got to be a leveling valve there somewhere,
yeah.
but it's not on the back axle there.
Well, usually it's mounted like up on the frame, or well, a cross member
Yeah.
that goes across there. And
Right.
then it'll have your rod going down to either, well, Peterbilt style, um, has a plate that your springs hook to, and
Right.
it bolts to your axle and everything. And then it's got just a rod that comes down to it, and then that's all you that's all you got.
Yeah. Anyways, the one, yeah, and the ones I've seen, like they're right next to the airbags.
Hmm.
And this one, where we took the airbags off, that I didn't see a leveling valve underneath there. But
Okay.
I know there's a leveling valve there somewhere because I seen it leveling itself out when we put air to it, right?
Hmm. Is
But go
question I was
ahead.
about to ask. So which bags did you change? Were this your drive bags or
They're on
your
the drive axle bags, yeah.
okay? Yeah, there
Because
should.
I have two sets of axles under my truck, but the only one that the back axle is my drive axle and the front axle is just a free rolling axle because it's a
Okay.
lift axle.
Yeah.
So there's no brakes on it, nothing like you can set the brakes and the tires still spin on the front axle.
Yeah.
But so that was my day. But anyway, so we went to go change a freaking DEF coolant line, and honestly, they said to change them both of them, but the one that we didn't change didn't really. They don't look like they're in that bad a shape.
Hmm.
The lines where they started leaking was up in where it connected to the block on the top of the DD13, the
Yep.
coolant block. I sent you a picture of it.
Yeah.
Where it connected there is the only place that it was leaking. So we only replaced the one.
Hmm.
And I'm going to keep the other one on the truck with us. Just so happen if it leaks, we can bring it into somewhere
Hmm.
and let them change it out and we'll have the line ready,
Yeah.
you know. But
Yeah.
I mean the lines they seem to be in decent shape still.
Yeah.
And my thought was why change it if we had this much of a headache with the first one? Why continue the pain in the ass if it's nothing wrong with it?
Yeah.
Just let it go, you know. And if it goes bad, then I have the line,
Yeah. I
you know.
mean, you've already got it. All you got to do is slap it on there. One
Yeah,
thing you can do, um, go to Harbor Freight and invest in a half-inch drive impact. Um,
I got one. I got a DeWalt one.
okay. Well,
Battery. I got a battery powered one, and I've got I'm gonna buy an air powered one, but I don't think my. The only thing is I don't think my truck has enough tank capacity for doing much work with it because we've tried inflating our tires off the tank
hmm.
in our truck, and it only inflates to about 100 psi, and that's it. Like
Um,
I've had on big trucks, even when I idle it up, like it'll inflate your tires to whatever you want it to.
hmm.
But this truck here when we hook an airline up to it and try to inflate our tires, it'll only push to about 100 psi.
Hmm.
So I don't know if it's got smaller tanks on it or if it's got smaller, because where my um lift axle is on the side of the truck, or I can control it on the outside.
Yeah.
It's got an air chuck there
Mm-hmm.
to where I can plug an airline into. That's how I blow my truck out. I don't use the seat blowers.
Yeah.
I've always had them leak.
Hmm.
After a month of them being in there, as well as I do, they leak.
Well, see,
You
I've
know,
never had an issue with them leaking.
really.
And every truck I've driven has had them in it.
You don't move the seats as much as my wife does.
No, no, mine.
She's always inflating, deflating, sliding them forward, sliding it back, sliding it forward, slide. So that constant moving
Yeah.
causes them lines to move and will cause them to leak. Every truck we've ever drove together, she's caused them to leak. So my thought was, to prevent a leak, carry a 50-foot air hose and then just plug it in the side of the truck and run it with a blower.
Yep.
And just blow them out from inside blow it inside the truck out. Anyways, we'll continue this topic after the podcast. We've gone long enough on what our daily life is. On today's topics on the podcast, we are going to talk about ELDs and try to fit in also technological advances that are coming to the industry that we've seen either already happening or is on the verge of becoming a thing. If this was 4 or 10 years ago, or no, not even 10, yeah, about 10 years ago, we would have been talking about ELDs being the technological advances that are coming.
Yeah.
But nowadays they've gone past that. But we'll bring that up here in a little bit. The first thing I was going to discuss with you on today's show was ELDs and the shady stuff that's going on with them,
Mm-hmm.
and how now that they've been mandated for since 2020 they've been mandated 19.
I think it was 20 is when the
20,
mandate actually
right?
went into effect.
And how drivers are still
Yeah.
complaining that about them. I mean, and thinking that as much as they complain about them, that they're going to go away.
Yeah.
The government's not getting rid of ELDs. But a which I didn't know about until here recently. I figured it was a thing because I do drive team.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured it was a thing that was probably going to happen. But I read an article and I've looked up a few things before we started the show, but where they're talking about ghost co-drivers in these trucks nowadays, where they're trying to um kind of hack the system in a way where, back in the day where some drivers used to run multiple logbooks way back in the day, they're technically trying to do the same thing with ELDs. And it seems like the FMCSA is caught on to this, and they're trying to catch these companies doing it, but obviously it's been going on long enough that it got their attention.
Yeah.
And what I mean by ghost co-drivers on ELDs is back in August 17th of 2020 on the Truckers Report, there was a guy talking about how he used to work for a company, he left and come back, and come to find out that they were using his login information on logs, and he wasn't even there at the company for one, and B, he wasn't driving that truck. So that's piqued my attention. And so I looked into it more, and I guess what these companies are doing, these smaller companies, they are adding people to the e-logs, whether they're in the truck or not. So say I had a trucking company, not saying that I do this, but I had a trucking company and Kevin's driving for me, and instead of me being in the truck, I just log into the truck and I get out of the truck, and Kevin drives not only his time, but magically he logs out and logs in, and he has a whole new 11 hour clock to drive, and he just keeps driving. And I don't know what your opinion on this is, but this seems pretty with these newer drivers coming in. This seems pretty dangerous. I mean, it was dangerous before when they were doing multiple logbooks. I think a lot of drivers that were doing that had a little more self control,
Hmm.
and
Well,
if not, they had toothpicks. But
um,
you know,
being as I came from doing the shady stuff with the paper log. Um, it's all about knowing your limits. A lot of these guys are going to push themselves way beyond their limits, and they're it's going to cause havoc. And I think that's going to eventually come up to where they end up making a regulation for, I don't know, something wild, like they're going to restrict your, I don't know, maybe restrict team trucks, running multiple people in a logging system in one truck. I don't know how to word it or anything.
yeah, yeah. My thought was maybe because most of these Samsaras and stuff like that, if it's run off an app or the new system's coming out, they have a camera on it, right?
Hmm.
What if it snapshots the person sitting in front of the device? Like it's not recording all the time, but it's just like a snapshot.
Yeah,
Takes your picture, your face, and then because most of these companies don't keep track of their own logs anymore, it goes to Samsara or whatever, or some outside organization, and then they can match the face with the person sitting in the driver's seat when they log in.
yeah. I mean,
That could be something they could do.
even if companies were, keeping track of that stuff now on their own, um, you know, they've got to have a picture of your license they hire you on.
Right.
So, it wouldn't be hard to, if X driver is assigned to X truck, no team truck, no nothing. It's just one driver, one truck.
Yeah.
Then, I can see, I could see them doing pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. Also, uh, I could see it where it's going to cause issues. I mean, big issues if they don't nip it in the butt now. Um, there's been rumors out there, multiple people in a truck, three or four different drivers at a truck.
Hmm.
We've seen that, and stuff like that. And so I don't know. I think that's another thing that they haven't really caught on to yet is the multiple drivers, more than two drivers in a truck. I mean, I've seen some of these trucks come out here and they've got four people in the truck,
Yeah.
you know, and so I don't know if all of them are drivers, but I mean, why would there be four grown ass men in a truck?
Yep.
But I mean, really, you know what I mean?
Wasn't wasn't there a company? I want to.
CR England did three people in a truck, but they had three bunks.
Yeah. Which
So
that,
that was something that you tried doing.
like me
My
personally,
question that I
that's
was going to
still
bring up,
too many, two people too
yeah,
many.
my question that I was going to ask you is because I've never done it, but not that they do ghost logs or anything like that, but doesn't how does the oil field run their logbook? Can't they like stop their clock or something like that and extend them to where your day ends up being longer than like the average driver?
Oil field, um,
I know they have some sort of an exemption.
most of it is uh like a local exemption
Gotcha.
to where they're within the 150-mile radius.
Yeah,
And a
because I
lot,
heard.
like
Go ahead. Sorry.
the oil field company that I drove for, we didn't have any kind of log. It all went off a time card.
Because then, well, I've heard some people talk, and maybe you can elaborate on this. I don't know if you've heard about it or whatever, where they were talking about how, like, when they got to the pad, like their time would stop or something like that while they're waiting on the pad.
Yeah, I think they would
I
go
heard,
off duty.
right, and then their clock would actually stop counting down as
Mhm.
long as they were on the pad or something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's different rules. What I'm trying to get at, there's different rules
Yeah.
for different things, but this ghost ELD stuff or ghost driver stuff is a problem.
Mhm.
Um, now I found on Freightways there's a article that video shows ghost co-driver added to trucks ELD and skirts the hour of service rule. So in this video, which it doesn't actually show the video anymore, but this shows clips from the video where a guy has his drive times at 0, his shift times at 0. He's got 12 minutes left on his clock. And then he logs this other person in, his ghost co-driver, and he's got a full clock. He's got a full 70-hour clock, well, 68 hours on it.
Mhm.
He's got a full shift, he's got a full clock. And while he's doing that, it allows him to continue to run. They even say that they'd set it up to where um it'll continue to run so the one clock will get a 34-hour reset while he's driving on the other clock, and they will just bounce from clock to clock to clock to clock. Um that's dangerous. I don't know, man. That kind of freaks me out a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, because I've driven next to a lot of these newer drivers, and not just these newer drivers, these drivers that think that they're old school drivers when they're not.
Mhm.
And they think they're Billy badasses, and they think that they God's gift to trucking, and they could drive. I don't know. We seen him on TikTok. Oh, I drove X amount of miles and blah blah blah. He's over there bragging about it, you know. And those are the type of people that worry me,
Yeah.
you know. And those are the type of people that, if they had the chance, they'd probably use a ghost log co-driver and not think twice about it. You know, my thing is like, my wife's always logged into the truck with me. So technically, would this be a thing for an actual team truck? It could be.
Yeah,
But
it very well could be.
you know what I mean? Like my wife and I, we don't do this stuff. You know, she drives her time, I drive my time because at the end of the day, like why over stress yourself and why spread yourself thin if there's another person in the truck, you know?
Yep.
Um it worries me. Like you said, more regulations. And I think we're regulated enough as it is.
Mhm.
And then this type of stuff is going to cause more regulations. And then you're going to have the same people that complained about going to ELDs out there complaining about more regulations.
Yep.
You know, let's be honest. The reason why ELDs became a thing was because people were caught screwing off. If
Mm,
people would have never been caught cheating the system, in my opinion, this is my opinion. If drivers weren't caught cheating the system with falsifying their logs and driving more hours than they should and stuff like that, I don't think you would have seen the ELD mandate. I think you would have seen electronic logs of some sort because technology is always advancing.
yep.
So I think you would have seen some sort of electronic logs at some point, but I don't think they would have done away with paper logs altogether for the most part.
Yeah.
Yes, there is some trucks out there that still run paper logs. We know that, years and stuff like that. But I don't think they would have done away with it as fast as they did if people weren't proven to be screwing this, trying to skirt the edges of the system.
Yeah. Um see my thought on it is it the ELDs came about the same way that the suggestion for the speed regulators is coming
Hmm.
about. That way, big companies have a level playing field with the small company. And I
Well,
think that's the only thing there is to it.
anyways, I think they're, just kind of like what's going to happen with this one is going to happen with the way it happened when we went to ELDs. Like you said, the larger companies are going to push for it, more regulation on it to help them out. But also, they're going to use that they found a few small small companies that are abusing the system, and those are going to be their talking points to push more regulation on e-logs.
Yep.
And I don't know. I think that's going to hurt us in the long run. But is it something that you're going to have to adapt to? Of course. I mean, trucking, there's in trucking, there's one of two ways you can be. You can be the old grouchy person that does nothing but nonstop complain, or you can be the ones that that adapt and overcome the odds and keep moving forward and keep doing your job.
Yeah.
And that's where people need to be. So, any other thoughts on the whole ghost co-driver thing?
See, sometimes I'll have two of us in a truck, just one, riding with the other. Um, and I've had a couple cases where like one of us has ran out of time, and the other one had to take over driving. I don't know if how that how if they do make new regs on it is gonna affect that, like what we do sometimes.
Well, yeah, but there's two of you in the truck,
Mhm.
right? This is what this is talking about is there's no other co-driver in the truck.
Yeah, but I'm saying like if a rule is made or a regulation is made that restricts stuff like that, having the multiple people logged into one ELD.
Yeah. Now, question for you: do you guys run off a phone or off an app, or off the tablet
Um,
when you're in the truck?
most trucks have tablets. The one I'm currently in, since it's a rider lease, it doesn't have a tablet in it yet,
Right.
but sure
So, what would
they'll
your
one day.
thoughts of being like when you log into a truck first time at a company,
Mm-hmm.
right? You sit in front of you sit with your Samsara or whatever system you use, and it snaps a picture of you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then every time you log in, switch clocks and put your like my wife and I we switch clocks. So I log out. I don't log out, but I switch to the co-driver and
Yeah.
or switch driver, and she logs in. What if when that happens, it snaps a picture with you again because which we're going to talk about here in just a minute is technological advances, the AI. This will lead into our next topic in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, AI, right? So AI says it takes your picture that you took at the beginning, right? And it takes the picture that you took when you logged in,
Yeah.
compares them, and if it sees any discrepancies,
Mm-hmm.
it sends it to a human
Yep.
to say either A, yes, this is the right person, or B, no, this is the wrong person logging in, and flags that clock and that driver. That time that login name flags it, and then shoots it to the safety department, and they have to take care of it from there by calling the driver and being like, "Why is this person using your logbook?"
Yeah.
And if it happens too many times, it automatically sends a ding to their CSA score to the FMCSA saying, "Hey," or the DOT saying, "Hey, this company is falsifying logs
Mm-hmm.
because the
This,
right driver's not logging in."
yeah. This company, this truck number.
Yeah, this driver, name, number,
Yeah.
driver's license number, blah blah blah. I think I honestly
I mean,
watch it actually happen. I could see that's the route they're probably going to go.
yeah, because which I know there's a couple states that like they can log into your.
All the states can now.
Mm,
They can log any DOT officer can log in from outside the truck. Um, and somehow they link with Samsara or whatever that they can log into see your logs from their truck
mm,
without you having to send it to them.
interesting.
All DOT can do that, but they have to be doing an inspection while they do it.
Mm,
They can't just do it when you hit when you hit the scales. They can't look at your logs.
okay.
They have to be under. You have to be in inspection mode.
Mm, that makes more sense.
Yeah, but I don't know. So there's part of the technological advances that we're going to talk about in our next topic is like the whole AI thing,
Hmm.
where AI they're using a lot of AI resources to book loads. Um, you know, AI is becoming a big thing, and if you really think about it, AI pushes towards the self-driving trucks even more.
Yeah,
And we've seen them out on the road, the
yeah,
self-driving trucks.
a lot of them between Dallas and Houston. But I mean, really,
And
they're only running I-45. I think is that interstate. I don't know, but that's the only ones I
I've seen them
see.
on 40.
Mm,
I've seen them on 40. There is a driver in the truck,
yeah.
but I've seen the self-driving trucks on 40 every once in a while out towards California more
Mm,
than anywhere else, but I've seen them. That's kind of creepy, you know.
yeah.
Um, Granted, you know me, I'm one that's will always adapt to different things. I did see them where they said that, and you and I have talked about this previously of how there'd be a driver sitting in front of computer screens,
Mm-hmm.
and you know when a truck gets to a certain location, that computer screen pops up for that person at the desk, and he controls the truck from there to where it needs to go. Um, I foresee that possibly being a thing in the future, not in the next 5 years, 10 years, but I could see
Yeah,
that being a thing.
yeah.
Um,
I can see it maybe in 25 years, but like specialized. Well, I'd call it specialized, but more oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like my job, it's not gonna be able to do
right. I mean, I think point to point type stuff.
that. Mm-hmm.
Drop it at like almost kind of like a rail yard does, where you just drop it into a location
Yeah.
and the slot, and then a yard dog comes and grabs it and puts it at a door.
Mm-hmm.
I see that aspect of it becoming more of that style. Because let's be honest, I mean, the way that technology is getting, look at Trucking Simulator. I hate
Yeah.
to say it, but I mean, the steering wheels, you got brake pedals and all that stuff. Where why couldn't that access a truck? Say you're driving better, for an example, you're driving across 40 from California to Memphis. Memphis has got a rail yard, California's got ports.
Mm-hmm.
Why not have a rail style esque area where the trucks, when it gets close to a city limits, that pops up on a guy's screen like we are just sitting in front of a computer. It says truck such and such needs to be navigated.
Mm-hmm.
And before within 10 miles of it getting the city, you log into it, type your information in, it comes up on your main screen, and now you're controlling the truck from wherever you're at in the world, and you just drive it to like a parking spot, hit a button, it unhooks, you drive it to hook to another one, drive it back out to the interstate and hit the button, and then it automatically takes off by its own, going back out to wherever it needs to go. Kind of like a little hub area, doing like a little hub drop type thing.
Yeah. Mm,
I think that's more realistic than what people think are going to happen.
possibly,
You
but
know?
I don't foresee that happening for probably at least 20-25 years.
Yeah, I mean, you even look at people like Elon Musk. He's building the electric trucks. I seen one on TikTok pulling a Schneider trailer the
Mm-hmm.
other day. Um, Even he says that the infrastructure ain't there for electric trucks. It's going to be, this guy produces electric vehicles,
Yeah, that's
and he
literally his
says
bread
it's
and butter.
right, and he even says that it's going to be 10 years minimum before they have enough infrastructure and enough area ability to be able to do any type of um, research to see if it's feasible to have electric vehicles.
Yeah. I mean,
You know,
and realistically, I don't we don't the US does not put enough money into the infrastructure in order to support that capacity. Um
no,
I feel like it's going to be the same thing with all these electric cars. They're going to end up putting diesel generators to charge stuff.
I think potentially. this whole electric kick um, could end up turning into the natural gas trucks and the
Yeah.
nitrogen trucks, where they tried pushing the natural gas. There's still some pilots and flying J's that have natural gas
Mm-hmm.
at the facility, at the fuel station, but for the most part, um, they've kind of gone away from that.
Yeah.
Unless you're, a small little company or something. Um, I foresee it being a thing, electric vehicles. I mean, honestly, and I hate to be this type of way, but kind of what like with what you do for
Mm-hmm.
not saying 100% what you do, but I mean just doing short little pickups and then dropping off somewhere around towns. I could see more electric vehicles going there
Yeah. Like,
because let's be honest, even what you do, you could do it with an electric truck.
mm,
You know,
in
a
town.
matter of fact, I seen an electric truck. Yeah, in town.
Yeah.
That's
Like
what I'm talking about.
in town, I can see it. But there's, I mean, and it like some of the routes, like I think tomorrow's route is a pretty pretty long route. Like I've got a lot of miles to put,
Mhm.
and I don't see the electric trucks being able to
Yeah.
hold that capacity.
Now I did at a truck stop out in California. I was able to walk around a Tesla truck
Hmm.
and see one up close and personal. And in all honesty, the suspension, the under cab looked like a Freightliner.
Yeah.
It looked like they took a Freightliner chassis and threw the Tesla truck on top of it. Honestly, if you took the cab off of it and parked it next to a chassis of a Cascadia,
Hmm.
it's the same exact. It's identical. So
Yeah, I can definitely see
in that
them
aspect of
going to go to Freightliner, like Volvo or somebody, and um
cab getting chassis,
getting chassis from them.
yeah. But what other advancements do you think they're on the horizon that may or may not become a thing?
Honestly, I think the as far as from what I've read, it's just the self drive, the autonomous trucks is the
Yeah,
biggest thing in the news right now. Like I said, I don't foresee it happening anytime in the near
no,
future. Like I,
I don't see if it does happen, it's going to be down south,
mm,
Texas area. Think about it, right? Look at 80. How this last snowstorm we did? How many times did you see 80 shut down?
yeah, true.
70 shut down. All these roads shut down. 90 was shut down
Mm-hmm.
in New York. 80 was shut down in Pennsylvania. 70 was shut down out west.
Yep.
How are these self-driving trucks going to act in snow and ice and snowstorms like that? Are they just going to shut them down and park them, or are
Uh,
they going to let them go out there on the highway and how does a self-driving truck react to stopped traffic rapidly, quick? Going down the road, because you and I have both been going down the road and come over top of a hill, and the other side of the hill traffic is dead
mm-hmm.
stopped. We didn't know nothing about it because it just happened.
Yep.
How do these AI trucks adapt to that?
I think it's gonna have a lot to do with the collision mitigation that's on a lot of trucks now. And
But here's my question with the collision mitigation. How do they prevent? Because the collision mitigation is just going to hit the brakes,
mm-hmm.
right? You've dealt probably driving truck, and so have I. With when you tap the brakes on snow and ice, your trailer starts sliding.
Yep.
How do you correct that? Well, you get off the brakes and you hit the throttle,
Yep.
and it'll kick your trailer back behind you. Are you going to see a lot of these AI trucks just jackknifing?
Probably.
Because all they're going to do is just be slamming on the brakes trying to stop,
More than likely.
you know? And are they going to cause a bigger pileup?
See, I think they're gonna try to push the AI trucks everywhere. Um, until they realize, oh no, we're doing more harm than good trying to push this everywhere.
Yeah.
Um,
Because I do think that like the human aspect of it plays a big role.
mm-hmm.
Because yes, they say computers can react faster than humans, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, when it comes to traffic like that, or if it comes driving on snow and ice, you can't
No, you can't take the
predict.
driver. Yeah, you can't predict what you're looking at until you're on top of it.
Right. And I don't think you can put as many sensors on a truck as you want.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be able to pick up the road conditions because you can drive 50 miles and it be clear, dry blacktop,
Mm-hmm.
and then hit a bridge, go over the side, and then it's nothing but black ice.
Yep.
How's your AI handle that? Because your braking's got to be different, your acceleration's got to be different,
Mm-hmm.
your going around curves has got to be different. I watched one of those AI trucks go around a curve, and that damn thing just about waited to the last second and whipped it around the curve on 40. You know, it was just going down the road and last second go around the curve. You can't do that on snow and ice.
No,
Like you can't. That's not a thing. You're gonna jackknife and be fucking in the bush.
that thing it
So, I don't know.
shouldn't be a thing on dry roads either. Um,
Yeah,
but
especially
like,
if you're loaded.
and with the autonomous trucks, I've driven a lot of rental cars, right? Um,
Hmm.
some of them have had um like a lane departure system
Yeah,
that keep you centered in the lane, and there's been several times I've pulled my hand off the steering wheel to because I don't drive with both hands. I just don't. It's not
right.
comfortable to me. I've pulled one hand off the steering wheel to scratch my nose or something or rub my eye, whatever, and going by an exit, and that car tried to shoot over and take the exit. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember last year before last, a Tesla with an elderly couple slammed into the back of a truck that was in a rest area at full
yeah.
speed. So, I, until they get that figured out, I don't see the autonomous trucks coming around.
No, I did see an interview with Elon Musk, and he was talking. They did ask him that if the new Tesla tractor trailers were going to have the autonomous driving in them,
Mm-hmm.
and he did. His reply was that, well, let's just work at one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Let's just, he's like, let's just work at the electric side of it, and
Mm-hmm.
then we'll worry about the self-driving side of it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't. I agree with you. It's going to be a while, but I do think it's not. It's something that you don't want to sleep on.
Yep.
You want to be prepared for it. You want to broaden your horizons to a point. Be open-minded to change. Be
Mm-hmm.
open-minded to be able to be a test dummy in a way, for lack of a better term. To if they cut, a company hits you up and says, "Hey, do you want to help with this advancement in the AI and stuff like?" Don't say no.
Yeah.
Is it going to put you out of a job? No, it's going to create more jobs for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you really think about it, being willing to adapt and grow and change with the AI and the whole electric, it's going to give you more opportunities, more jobs. Because if they do go to the point of like almost a trucking simulator type style,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be on the beginning of it. You know what I mean? You're going to be there
Yeah, on the
first before
ground
anybody.
level.
Yeah.
Um,
So
oh, I had a question. Didn't say.
sorry about that.
No, you're good. Like it just popped in and
Yeah.
vanished. Um,
But man, it's stuff changes so fast in this industry.
mm-hmm.
But then it also takes forever too,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Like it's one of those things like they push for with a lot of these newer companies now, they're using the AI to book loads. And I remember talking to a guy not too long ago or video or something,
Mm-hmm.
and he called into a broker, and literally it sounded like you and I were having a conversation about a load,
Mm-hmm.
but he wasn't talking to a human.
Hmm.
He was talking to an AI system that was booking the load for him and was negotiating rates. And he'd say, "Oh, I want this much money." And the AI was like, well, please hold on a second, let me check to make sure that'll work. And what it was doing was it was sending his offer to an actual broker to see if they'll say yay or nay.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is this: is if they go with AI to that point, that removes all negotiation out of the loan.
Yeah.
Like even me, I'm able to negotiate loads with the company that I'm leased
Mm-hmm.
to a point. You know, they'll negotiate to a point, but that takes out of all ability of negotiation for small companies with
Mm-hmm.
brokers. So that's kind of scary if you think about it, because they're going to have to either raise the rates that they're hauling them for, or they're going to have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because if they're going to go straight AI and to negotiations and all that stuff, that's you can't negotiate with a computer.
No.
You know.
And I mean, realistically, if they go to AI, I see, a lot of these people that work for these brokerages losing their job because
Yeah, yeah.
they're not going to have there's no
They're
reason
not going to
for
need
it.
them.
Yeah.
I mean, a computer system can answer 47 phone calls in
Mm-hmm.
2 seconds and be like, "Oh, this person is paying too much. This person wants, we'll let you know. We'll call you back. This person's the lowest person. This person here. This, and it's just going to file through 47 trucks and find out who's the lowest person that's hauling it,
Yeah.
and that's who they're going to. Like I told you the other day, I talked to a guy that was pulling reefer loads for $1 a mile.
Mm-hmm.
That AI is going to pick him every time.
Oh yeah.
And even if you're able to haul it for $1.05 a mile, that $1 a mile guy is going to get it.
Yep.
And they're going to get to the point where they don't care about quality of a driver. It's just get that freight moved.
Yep. I mean,
Sometimes you have some brokers that will pay for a quality driver
mm-hmm. Which I
because they
mean,
know they're not going to have any issues.
yeah. Which realistically, like now, um, with a lot of these big companies, they don't care about the quality of driver.
No.
Let's fill seats, and that's
Yeah.
it. Like, like I'm sure if you were to apply for a big company, like if you wanted to go back to work and being a company driver and applied for a big company with that rollover on your record, they probably wouldn't take you.
Yeah. No, definitely. Um, I've seen videos of guys that have 15, 20 years worth of experience
Mm-hmm.
under their belt go to a large company and get turned away.
Yep.
Because of, and one guy said that he talked to a kind of a guy as a hush hush type thing. And it was because he had too much experience for what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
How has too much experience ever been a bad thing? But to them, too much experience is, you got 20 years, you got 20 years of actually being a driver. They don't want you because they call it bad habits, right? Like,
Mm. They
but
can't they can't
at the
manipulate
end of
you.
the day,
It's
right. They
manipulation.
can't lie to you. They can't blow smoke up your ass and tell you it's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You have the experience there to be like, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But anyways, y'all, appreciate y'all stopping by. If you like what you see, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button, tell a friend. We can do a lot of things in this world, but the one thing we can't do is grow this podcast without your help. So hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button. Let's get out there to more people. We appreciate you all stopping by. I'm Jacob. This is Kevin, and we'll catch you on the next one.